Hey guys, Lincoln Wright here. Welcome to the ALTAIR Hund painting deep dive. In this video, I'll take you step by step through the creative process behind this unique paint scheme, layering airbrush, brushwork, and pre-weathering to create depth and detail. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget there's an extended cut available exclusively on Patreon, packed with even more tips, insights, and behind-the-scenes moments. Let's dive in. As we begin with the pre-shading model effect, I stumbled across the idea of doing this cool leopard print pattern. Kind of by accident. It wasn't planned, but it was sparked and became a creative idea that became part of the final look. I've also further developed it on subsequent Hunds. Have you ever had something unexpected happen during a build that turned into a creative win? Yes, a happy accident. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The Hund kits are Hasegawa models charming. That's probably the nicest spin I can put on it. And they do require a reasonable amount of work to get cleaned up and paint ready. That's not too much. It wasn't like off-putting to the point, but I did need to recheck my seam lines a couple of times. And yes, there were times when I thought that I'd done a good job and I'd found that I still needed to fix them. Here I'm showing one of the strategies that I've used a number of times to refix or move it forward. Do you know what I mean? If you're constantly doing only the same techniques to fix your seam lines, it can feel a little bit like two steps forward, one back, and you're not making any progress. One of the things that I like to do is then introduce a hand brushing round in between the airbrushing rounds. Now, it sounds silly, but hear me out. I've got something for you. Now, as we know, whilst airbrushing, we can deliver nicely misted on thin layers of paint, and they're quite beautiful, and they look really good. Now, hand brushing, on the other hand, it's such a different process, isn't it? You're direct applying usually much thicker paint, and in a way that can be useful for example, for obscuring seam lines that can be visible during our process. So here, not only am I putting on attempting to put on a mottle and putting on a shadow color, I'm also using it to check the most prominent seam lines on the ALTAIR kit to make sure that they're smoothed for further airbrushing over the top of them. And once the paint dries, you've got a very good overview of if you've cleaned up your seam lines. And being lacquer paint, you can then, of course, sand them, something that's difficult to do with other types of paint. Okay, Link, that's all well and good, but what has that got to do with the pre-mottle and the leopard print that you showed? Well, that's one of these, what I would call a creative stumble through my process, is that as I was working across, and I'm sharing it here with you, I was quite heavy initially in checking where the seam lines would need to be smooth across the back of the ALTAIR's Pitbull backpack, Space Mobility backpack here. Now, whilst I'm applying the brush, I did notice the splatter pattern that it was producing was reasonably aesthetically pleasing from a certain point of view. So as I'm working along with it, I did notice that if I was not using the paint to apply it thickly, and I was simply using it to apply the pattern in subsequent parts to the Hund, I noticed that it was a really cool pattern. And you know, even with my limited brain cells, further reduced by all of the paint fume huffing, I thought to myself, hey, this is a cool thing that we can use. And going forward, I further developed that over the top of the parts that did not require seam checking, things like the shoulder armor and different parts like that. I then further moved along and started practicing this leopard print pattern. Now, this is not the tutorial for that. This is the moment that I kind of discovered it in my mind and started experimenting with it and started the process towards making it happen. And you'll see that in future Hund tutorials that I've further produced and further perfected that idea, and it does look really cool. Then to develop mottling has been very popular, and for good reason. It looks pretty cool. So I realized, I thought through using another dark warm base such as propeller color here to stipple on and produce some effects with it. But I also wanted it to be colder and darker, so I've experimented with going to cowling color, which is a very, very dark blue, blue-black. Mixing them together, propeller color and cowling color, does produce quite an interesting tone. It's a very, depending on your mix of propeller color and cowling color, it can either be a warm, grayish, nigh black color, or actually it can be quite cool, depending on if you've got more cowling color mixed into it. Now, despite not having the presence of mind to know when that moment happened and not having the camera running for it, I can now show you in the subsequent paint applications what that leopard print looked like and how I've then used it to airbrush over what we can call SDR grey. This name was never applied to this paint in the studio, but in speaking with Koyokama Sensei, it is something that it is a color that he likes to use for the Strahl equipment, and it's different enough from the colors that we use on the mercenary space stuff, the normal space white, that I thought, hey, let's give it this name, at least that we can use it when we're speaking amongst each other to further designate it. And I've used this across a number of the Hund to further kind of cement that into common use for us. I mean, hey, they're toys and it's make-believe stuff. Why not, right? Now it's time to introduce Hemp, one of my favorite sleeper or kakushiaji colors. It works perfectly as an interim layer that will subtly show through later weathering. It's all about creating depth and visual interest, and it's a cool color to go between the darkest shadows and the brightest highlights. Do you have a go-to color for layering effects like this? Please share your recommendations with me. I'm always looking to try new ideas. So I perfectly measured the amount of white to run out exactly when I needed it to, and I felt very clever about it. So I've been able to segue into using what I'm seeing as my interim medium color on the Hund of Hemp. And it's such a cool color, and it's one that I think could be used on both mercenary and Strahl forces, but it does look particularly Strahl worthy. It's such a warm, light white ochre kind of color that I think it looks really cool when mixed in between the white and the orange that I'm going to finish this up with. So I thought that would be a really cool one for it. You can see on these smaller pieces that I'd planned for painting with hemp, that the mottle, this is as close as I've got to the pre-shade, mottle, and single overcoat methodology. So you kind of get a really good look at it here. The cowling color has made it quite nicely dark for the shadow, but you can also see some of the effect coming through. And I'm using the airbrush to highlight the piece. Eyeballing my parts on the paint rack that are drying, I did notice that tail piece was probably not quite opaque enough. So we can then say that in addition to the hemp being an undercolor for the light gray to be sprayed over the top, we could also do it the other way around. So I've experimented with using the white as a pre-highlight over the mottles just to see how it'll turn out. So that's another test that we can put forward for the weathering stage, and I'll share it. Now, the heavy duty lifting is done. Because I've still got the hemp in the airbrush, it's a waste to go and clean and waste this paint in between. So as possible, I do like to continuation of momentum by keep working with it. And I realized, and I thought to myself, hey, this is also a really cool interim step color that will look good in between the layers of abrasion I'm planning for the main the hero points on the Hund itself. Plus, I will admit I was a little bit nervous about how much texture will be visible from all of that brushwork once it's applied to a finish that's eventually going to read as white. I was a little bit worried that it would be way too visible because, as you guys would also know, white mecha will show all sins and evils underneath the paintwork, right? You'll be able to see everything. So, by combining a few things here, less but better, I'll use that hemp as an interim step. That will also allow me to check some more of the finish via airbrush, make sure, doubly sure, that these seams are fixed up. And it will also add another layer, once abraded, that I can choose to show between the oxide red and Kalin color and propeller color mixes on the bottom, hemp in between, and then light gray at the very top. And yeah, it worked out pretty well. I'm reasonably happy with that. Thinking of it as a zenithal type effect from above like that, but also cloud effects we used to call them back in the day, so that it's brighter at the top and still manages to cover the mottle, but still be interesting as well, especially once I buff it back. I think it'll look really cool. I'm very pleased with this color. You will see this again. Yes, I liked the look of that so much that I came back to this, the butt flap, we'll call it, armor, to further bring that one back up to light gray. And very happy with how the hemp sits between the oxide red and then light gray upper. That will be a great place for us to experiment with our abrasion techniques further into the weathering steps of this model. So coming back to the upper arm sections, I've also made sure as upper facing parts of the model, they've got a little bit more opacity, a little bit smoother, so that they read nicely for the final photos. Other sections that benefited from a little bit of a hemp interim stage were like the grind plate here, and I've been very careful. The cool thing about this model is you've got so many opportunities to practice not concealing your pre-modeling effects, and this was one of the parts that I was most pleased with. It was more about backing off as soon as you think it's good enough. And that tended to leave it at a pretty good stage for me. Again, it's one of those things that we need to learn through experience. It's hard to verbally explain to your friends when to back off, but I tend to feel that if I go that little bit further, it usually goes too far. I'm that kind of modeler. How about you? With the main hull color, we'll call it light gray, or SDR gray if you're comfortable with that, we can focus on building up the volumes and shapes. It's not just about covering the model, it's about using the airbrush strategically and artistically to highlight key areas and preserve shadows for depth. If you've got a favorite technique for enhancing shapes with paint, please let me know in the comments. Sharing ideas is what this community is all about. I would like to additionally point out that this one was another experiment. I'd not used hemp and this light gray together. The light gray is actually very light green if you really look at it, and of course the hemp is brown. I wanted them to sit together and contrast ever so slightly against the orange. So matching them up and placing the light gray and hemp together, I was most satisfied with how they look, especially with some of the red oxide still visible. It's coming together as a very aesthetically pleasing colorway, so I'm quite pleased with myself on that one. I hope you like it too. ID band with orange highlight. This hot orange ID band is a nod to my earlier K2SO build. I hope you remember it. To add complexity, I undercoated one side with hemp and the other side with the SDR gray. creating subtle shifts in tone that shine through the orange. What's a detail you've added to a build that most people might not notice right away, but makes all the difference? Share it below, I'd love to hear about it from you. Now here's the real money shot stage that we've been leading up to. All of that prior work has led to laying down our light grey over the hero places that are most photographed on our ALTAIR Hund. You can imagine that during any flight stage photographs or taking photos across the top where the Hund is quite photogenic, this is where it's going to be most in shot. So using these interim stages to double check that our seam lines are perfect, because with something like this, it's going to undergo a high close-up photograph for the rest of my work. I need it to be really clean. If you're also putting your models into competitions, etc., this is the spot the judges are going to look at because it's going to be most visible to them. It's in their face. And here I've been very careful to... You'll often see some of my brushwork. I'm probably more well known as a heavy-handed modeler, and I like doing that too. The thing about brushwork is we can be very expressive. Now, when I work with an airbrush, however, I like to flip it back because, to me, the airbrush is perfect for the misting techniques and so on. I don't feel, at least in my hands, that it's the correct tool to be heavy-handed with. And that's it for the YouTube cut of the ALTAIR Hund paint steps. I hope you found some ideas here to inspire your next build. If you want to see the full extended version, please head over to Patreon. It's packed with even more insights, techniques, and behind the scenes moments. Maybe even some more Link dad jokes. And if you're curious to see the ALTAIR featured in print, it's a key project in Chapter 2 of my new book, Volume 3, Hund. The book dives even deeper into the creative processes behind these builds, and it's shipping super soon. I'm working on it night and day. If you liked the video, please consider hitting the thumbs up and subscribe for more sci-fi modeling goodness. Hit the bell so you don't miss out on future builds, and always, happy modeling. Bye for now.